I found out my fiancée had been secretly recording our arguments when her lawyer accidentally CC'd me on an email. The subject line said, Ray, loyalty clause draft evidence strategy. Our wedding was 12 days away. The venue was paid. My parents had already flown in once to help with planning. Her dress was hanging in the closet upstairs, and apparently, I wasn't walking into a marriage. I was walking into a strategy. I'm 34. I manage commercial construction projects in Dallas. Long hours, spreadsheets, job sites at hard hat tan lines. It's not glamorous, but it's solid. I make good money, not generational wealth, not tech startup rich, just steady, upper middle class stability. I grew up watching my parents fight about money. Mortgage late notices, credit card minimums. My dad working double shifts. So when I built something stable, I protected it, not obsessively, just responsibly. I met Hannah 5 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was finishing her MBA, already working in corporate finance. Confident but measured, she asked thoughtful questions. She listened. We didn't rush. We dated for 3 years before moving in together. We split bills in proportion to income. My suggestion. I paid the mortgage on the townhouse because my credit was stronger. She paid utilities, groceries, HOA. It felt balanced. We talked about everything. Kids, careers, where we'd retire, whether we'd move closer to her parents in Colorado someday. It felt mature, healthy, predictable in the best way. When I proposed, she cried. Her parents cried. My MOM cried harder than everyone. There was no drama until the prenup. She brought it up casually. I think we should get a prenup, she said one night while we were reviewing the guest list. I nodded. Okay. She looked surprised. That's it. I work in risk management, basically. Contracts don't scare me. She smiled. Looking back, that smile lingers in my head. Not because it was evil, but because it was satisfied. The first draft came through her attorney. Standard stuff. Separate premarital assets remain separate. Shared property split evenly. Infidelity clause: the cheating partner forfeits certain protections. Aggressive, but no more for taxes. Then came draft 2. Subject line: expanded loyalty provision. That's when my stomach tightened. The clause defined disloyalty as emotional intimacy outside the marriage, deleting digital communication, failure to disclose material relationships, conduct causing reputational harm, concealment of information relevant to the marital partnership. It was vague, too vague. And then came the real bomb. If one party filed for divorce citing breach of loyalty, the filing party would retain 75% of shared marital assets. 75%, not 60, not 50, 75. I called her from my office. This seems extreme. It's just protective, she said lightly. Protective for who? For us. For the marriage. It feels like an incentive structure. Silence. Then she said softly, why are you getting defensive? That word. Defensive. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't accused her of anything. But suddenly I felt like I was on trial. That was the first shift. The second shift came in tiny moments. She'd pick fights over small things. Wedding, seating charts, the cost of the band, whether. I responded fast enough to her texts, and during those arguments, something felt off. She watched me, not emotionally, clinically. One night she said, sometimes you can be emotionally unstable when you're stressed. I laughed. That's dramatic. I'm serious, she said. You escalate. I escalate. You get intense. I remember thinking, that's not how this usually goes. And then I saw it. A small recording device plugged into the bookshelf outlet. Blinking. Red. I unplugged it. She walked in seconds later. Why are you touching that? What is it? It's for white noise. It records silence. It's for my safety, she said. From what? We had never been violent. Not once. That's when my brain started connecting dots, but I still didn't know how bad it was. Until the email. The lawyer meant to send it only to her. Instead, he CC'd me. We should have sufficient audio documentation to establish emotional volatility, combined with digital inconsistencies. The loyalty clause will be defensible if executed properly. Audio documentation. Emotional volatility, defensible. Attached were audio files, clips of my voice, not full, conversations, fragments, splice, me saying things like, you're twisting this isn't fair, you're not listening, without context. They sounded sharp, aggressive. I checked the house that night. 3 devices, bedroom, living room, her car, and suddenly, the arguments made sense. They weren't emotional. They were rehearsals. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I did something I've never done in 5 years. I checked her synced iPad, and I found the plan. A conversation with someone saved as C. Are you sure he won't see it coming? He's too trusting, and the recordings already started. He gets defensive easily after the honeymoon. No, I'll give it 3 months. Build the pattern, then I'll file, and the clause 75 plus primary claim to the townhouse if instability is established. Instability, like I was a case study. I kept scrolling, spreadsheets, projected, asset growth, my expected annual bonus, retirement, contributions, a tab labeled post-filing scenario. She had mapped out my financial life and her exit. One more message stopped me. Cold, you ruthless. No, I'm prepared. Prepared. I sat there in the dark kitchen for a long time, not crying, not yelling, just recalibrating. The wedding was 11 days away, and she had no idea I knew. I didn't cancel. I called my own attorney, a quiet, older guy who'd handled corporate disputes for 30 years. He read everything, then leaned back and said, She's constructing leverage. Illegal. Not unless she executes it. Can we protect against it? He smiled slightly. Oh, absolutely. We drafted a revised prenup. Mirror language. If either party entered the marriage under fraudulent intent or premeditated financial extraction planning, that party forfeited all marital claims, mandatory disclosure of all strategic financial communications related to the marriage, and one surgical line. Both parties affirm they have not engaged in strategic evidence collection in anticipation of divorce. We sent it. She read it at the kitchen island, her face drained of color. This is insane. It mirrors yours. It implies bad faith. It protects against it. She didn't sign. For 2 days she barely spoke. Then came the explosion. You don't trust me. I trusted you enough not to record you. Her jaw tightened. You went through my messages. You built a divorce plan. Her voice rose. You would have been fine. I wasn't going to bankrupt you. Just repellence things. She froze. That word had slipped out in our earlier fight. And now she knew I knew. Silence filled the room. Finally, she said it. I need security. So do I. I can't sign that. Then we don't get married. She stared at me. You'd cancel everything? Yes. Over a document. No over intent. The wedding was cancelled the next morning. Deposits lost. Guests confused. Parents blindsided. I didn't expose her. I didn't send screenshots to her family when people asked. I said, we weren't aligned, which was true. A week later, her lawyer called me privately, off the record. He said, you avoided a very expensive mistake. She had already scheduled a consultation. 3 months after the honeymoon, the timeline was real. The strategy was real. The recordings were labeled and archived.it wasn't. Paranoia.it was preparation. A month later, I saw her at a mutual friend's event. She pulled me aside. You embarrassed me. I protected myself. You ruined our future. I looked at her calmly. No, I stopped yours. She didn't argue because she couldn't. Here's the part that still sits heavy with me. I don't think she hated me. I think she saw marriage as leverage.as, positioning.as risk management. She just forgot something important. I manage risk, too. And I read contracts carefully. Losing $11,000 in deposits hurt. Explaining it to my MOM hurt. More, but marrying someone who already had your exit mapped out. That would cost me everything. Some people say I invaded her privacy. Some say I overreacted. Maybe, but when someone builds a case against you before the vows, that's not caution, that's calculation. So yeah, I lost a fiancé. I lost a wedding. I lost the future I thought was guaranteed. But I kept my house, my savings, my reputation, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that when the trap closed, I wasn't inside it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments.